first began playing Manyland with a friend whilst we were conducting some research for online multiplayer game ideas. Although Manyland is praised for its simplicity, I did actually find it a bit overwhelming. You can create an avatar, talk to people, visit places people have built, and build your own places. You can basically draw and make whatever you want. But with so many possibilities, I found it hard to know what to do, so I just started climbing. The spawn area is beautifully crafted, full of amazing works of pixel art, but it doesn't take much climbing for this to just devolve into weirdness. I climbed this really long elevator, and after a while, I saw a message. "You're trying to reach the top, huh? You'll be climbing a long time. Remember, it's about the journey and not the destination." Obviously, I'm far from the first person to try doing this. I decided to ignore that nonsense about the journey and take an express elevator upwards, propelling me to over 2,500 blocks from centre, all the while ignoring everything built around it. It's here I see a message. Why are you gayer? What could it mean? Above 4,500 blocks, I start getting told to subscribe to PewDiePie. In spite of this, I decided I would not subscribe to PewDiePie. I also decided I'm taking a huge risk here and take a ref stop around this face area. If I fall at any point, I'm respawned at the last place I stood on solid ground, and that would undo several thousand blocks of progress. I found a note about the hyperlev, which apparently reaches 380,000 blocks high. The only caveat is that it's 2,000 blocks to the left, which is a really long way. So instead I just head back to the elevator, which is my transport method of choice. The hyperlev reaching 380,000 blocks high is a sign of how far I've actually got to go, and it shows the sheer scale of Manyland. About 6,500 blocks above spawn, I found a new message. Why did I come all the way up here? 6,521 blocks from spawn, and yet I'm not amused. I also might have just gotten rickrolled. Oh, and I better censor that out. Let's take a moment to talk about a video I'll never make, but it feels relevant here. I wanted to make a video about Little Big Planet custom levels. Giving people endless possibilities is dangerous, because when you have endless possibilities, it's overwhelming, and you don't know what to do. So we just end up with a load of really poor quality levels. Unfortunately, I'll never be able to make this video because the Little Big Planet server is now permanently closed after around 15 years. I was seriously excited for this game when it came out, and I remember having the same feelings of being overwhelmed when I played it. My friend and I wanted to make a really cool level, but we just ended up with something fairly mediocre instead. And now it's just something fairly mediocre that nobody can play anymore. Little Big Planet's servers closing ended up taking 10 million custom levels with it, levels which we'll probably never see again. They were mostly bad, but it was endlessly enjoyable to see what people came up with, and now I never can again. So thanks for the memories, Little Big Planet. Manyland is far simpler than Little Big Planet. Everything is just based on a particular type of block. For example, ladders, launchers, solid blocks, semi-solid blocks, and non-solid blocks. Even so, this game just leads to endless weird nonsense. I mean, I can't really criticise people for trying. I started playing this game with a friend as a little bit of a research project, and all I did was climb up ladders. Anyone who's placed a single block in Manyland has actually accomplished more than me. I passed 10,000 blocks with basically no celebration. I just zipped by it. I ended up briefly getting diverted by a different elevator, but I made it back on track. I'm just worried about getting stranded somewhere, unable to get back to the elevator, and being forced to restart. There's little to see other than a note I found at 16,620 blocks, which thanked me for using the air elevator. The elevator has since been continued by other people on their mission to get to the top of Manyland. The amount of areas found during the elevator ride has seriously slowed down to about one new area about every 500 blocks now. I keep seeing these signs everywhere saying, "I'll get to the top eventually," with a skull next to it. But there's some people on my side. 100k or bust. Let's push to 50k, guys. So let's head on past 20,000 blocks. Little Big Planet shows how fragile a new modern culture of online games is. Manyland only exists as long as the servers keep on running. As soon as the servers go, nobody can ever play it again, and the entire of Manyland disappears. Sony decided to axe its PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita stores a few years ago, but it was met with huge opposition and they retracted their decision. But later, I got an email through to say they were closing the stores anyway. The PlayStation 3 store in particular had a huge selection of PlayStation 1 games up for sale, but now we can't buy them, so I guess I'd just have to pay £150 if I ever want to play Tombi. Cool. Dark times are ahead. I still play my PlayStation 3 sometimes, and if I get a new game for it, it pretty much always requires patches and updates to be downloaded before I can play. What happens when Sony decide they're no longer supporting the PlayStation 3 at all? Do my games just become unplayable? There's little to see on the way higher up. The elevator unexpectedly goes horizontal briefly. The "I'm sure I'll get to the top" signs are joined by "There is no end" and "You must climb higher" as we hit 24,000 blocks. I hit 30,000 blocks and I'm absolutely horrified as I accidentally leave the area to somewhere else. But thankfully I can return. By the way, it took me about 10 minutes to go 10,000 blocks, so at the rate I'm going, it'll probably take me nearly 17 hours to head up 1 million blocks. Manyland has been around for many years, so Lord only knows how far I'll truly have to go. Hope I don't run out of hard disk space with all these recordings. But anyway, onwards and upwards. The journey to 40,000 blocks is uneventful. A message of hope tells that there is an end, in the so-called desolate wasteland of all places. At 38,500 blocks, I get played the Simpsons theme song. At 39,500 blocks, Solitude tells us that they're trying to climb to the top 2, way back in 2020. I wonder if they made it. The 40,000 block milestone seems to get skipped. 42,500 blocks up, a motivational message to keep us going, to say we're nowhere near. 45,500 blocks, God is dead. At 47,000 blocks, I read about a rumour that there's a base at 111,111 blocks from the centre, and we've hit 50,000 blocks now. Who knows where this will all end? Manyland doesn't have any hard-coded limits. I've just got to keep going until I can't go any further. 60,000 blocks. 69,000 blocks is predictably full of messages saying, "Nice." How funny and original. I passed by a couple of routes for the hyperlevel along here. They really want me to go. It proclaims that it's faster, with a big blinking sign that says faster. Maybe it wouldn't hurt to try. It does claim to get us to 380,000 blocks as well. 5.5 times the distance we've already travelled. I decide to go. Some jerk put a hole in this transport over here though, so I kept falling in and being sent back to the start. But finally I made it, and we're at the hyperlev, so let's get going. At 80,000 blocks, it turns out the hyperlev is indeed faster because it has less stops. On the downside, it is much more boring, and there's far more shirtless men. But as our goal is to get to the top, let's just keep going. But let's take a moment to appreciate the people who built this elevator. Maybe you think climbing to the top of Manyland is insane, and it is kind of stupid. But building to the top of Manyland is surely many times more insane. This elevator is 6 blocks wide. Now I'm at 80,000 blocks. That means there's close to 500,000 blocks forming this elevator, and it just keeps going. 90,000 blocks from centre. Why'd I come all the way up here? 90,019 blocks from spawn, and yet I'm not amused. I finally reach 100,000 blocks, or so I thought. Some smartass declares that our actual height is a little bit lower, because it measures distance from centre, and since we're a little bit to the left of centre, our real height is in fact lower than what these little block indicators say. There's also a sign pointing upwards, for overachievers. We head up a little way and get to actual 100,000. As I head further upwards, I start to wonder what the hell I'm doing with my life. It's taking me about 6 minutes to climb 10,000 blocks at this point, so I can get around 100,000 blocks per hour. But where does it end? How much higher will people go? Will it get to 1 million blocks? Will it get to 2 million? Why am I even doing this? Why have other people done this? At this point, I'm actually going to stop recording my progress and only record videos every 5 to 10,000 blocks or so, because the majority of what I'm recording is endlessly travelling upwards through void, broken up by the occasional pixel art spam of obese Sonic the Hedgehogs. The hyperlev's taken me to 110,000 blocks. Why does everyone do something like this? We seek the top at all costs. Try out nothing here. Many people have signed their name in 2020, but Harrison Crawley Creelworld signed their name on the 5th of April 2022. That wasn't too long ago. As I rocket into the sky, I should mention that Manyland will respawn you where you last stood on solid ground if the window loses focus under certain conditions. Basically, if I'm using the hyperlev and defocus the window, I'll get respawned. That means I'm forced to stare at the screen as I climb higher. I can't just do other things on my computer at the same time. Honestly, now I've just taken to getting into hyperlev, going to make a drink, then by the time I come back, hopefully I've hit the next milestone. 130,000 blocks up. Somebody boldly proclaims that I'm more than halfway there, but I don't know when this was written. There also seems to be an underwear vending machine here. Okay, 150,000 blocks. Here's a long message from someone. I'm so fucking bored during this corona epidemic, and that's why I'm trying to reach the top. It seems impossible though. I should have been writing a fucking report, but instead, here I am. Weird times. Yeah, I feel you. There was a random interruption on my way to 200,000 blocks. Hold up, did you actually think you could pass 171,717 and get by? Wow. Okay, continue. Porn. 190,000 provides us with a tranquil forest and log cabin to take a breather by. Maybe this is my purpose in life. At 200,000 I find a guest book of sorts. Somebody was here as recently as 16 days ago. I tried to sign the guest book myself, but instead I somehow turned myself into this stupid faced person. So I guess that's me from now on. 222,222 blocks above spawn is the base of 2. There's a museum of 2s here, which is full of many different number 2s. No, not that. Literally the number 2. 250,000. 250,000. There's actually really not anything to see here. 268,778 blocks high. There's a nice little art gallery to stop off by. And hey, another message from Solitude. You read one of their messages earlier. At 270,000, there's a little parkour course for us, but it's too hard for me. At 300,000, there's another guest book here, and we can see all the people who have climbed here before us. Okay, it's time to get serious. There's no more stopping by to look at art galleries, no more museums of 2s or 3s or 4s, no more guest books. It's get to the top or bust. 310,000, 320,000, 330,000, 340,000. The hyperlev is actually more boring than ever at this point. Usually passing upwards we see lots of images and text and general spam, but there's really nothing to see at this height. Just endless white emptiness. 350,000, 380,000. I think I'll stop off here for a moment. When I first saw a note for the hyperlev, it said it went to 380,000 blocks. Well, here we are. This is the lowest we were going to have to go. But it keeps going. The more progress I make, the more I feel motivated to continue. I guess it's because once I'm done, I never have to do this ever again. Actually, at 382,660 blocks, we reach what used to be the end. I've reached the end. For now, said somebody, at some point. But this isn't the end of our journey. 400,000. Someone says the jumpers for the hypervator don't work anymore. Those little green arrows, should they be making me go faster? Did all these people have a breeze of a time getting up here, and I'm going comparatively slowly? Oh well, it's too late to turn back now. 400,500 blocks is the end, so let's go get a cup of coffee. Or is it? No, it's not. 407,231. I'm getting stopped pretty regularly now. I accidentally fell in the downstream here and got trapped being rocketed back down. Then I remembered the old defocus the window to respawn trick, and did that. So it's time to keep going. 410,000. There's actually a really cool isometric room here. It's worth taking a moment to have a look at. 444,444. Oh wait, sorry. Actually, this is 444,382. There's nothing worth seeing at 444,444. Oh hey, we're at 450,000. This is underwhelming. For some reason, towards the end, I end up getting sent up the hyperlev at absolute warp speed. Is this how it was supposed to work all along? And then suddenly, I've made it. The top. 457,282 blocks from spawn. I made it. I'll take a walk around a little. Helen was here on the 28th of May 2022. That's today. What a wild coincidence. I walk to the right and see a little elevator under construction, but it's blocked off. No, I'm not having this. I'm not allowing someone else to have been higher than me after the amount of time it took me to get here. So here we go. One final push to get to the highest point. And now finally I'm here. And I'll sign my name. What a ride. Was it worth it? No, probably not. Will we ever get higher? Who knows? Manyland actually had a boom period during the coronavirus epidemic, but now it only has a small player base left over. There's less than 100 people online most of the time. This game is huge, 450,000 blocks high, and who knows how wide the map is. That's an absolutely insane number of blocks. And well, I guess now there's only one thing left to do. I can finally play the game.